Hey friends, and welcome back to the Two for Tuesday podcast, brought to you by Second Round Music, where each week we peel back the layers on two songs from one unforgettable artist. I'm your host, Michael Present, and today we're not just walking the floor, we're walking through the life of one of country music's most emotional voices and one of my all-time favorites, Vern Gosdin. You might know him as The Voice, a nickname that he earned not with flash, but with a pure, honest, and live-in singing style that told the truth, even when it hurt. Now, Vern didn't give himself that nickname. From what I understand, he earned it from his peers, and he's often been called one of the purest voices in the genre. So today, we're not only going to deep dive into his extraordinary life, but we're going to do something a little bit different. And we're going to do a Tuesday triple play, where we'll talk about three of his most memorable songs: Set 'Em Up Joe, Till the End, and Do You Believe Me Now. We'll also take a moment to briefly revisit a signature track of his, Chiseled in Stone. You can't leave that one off either. But before we dive into Vern's career in music, give a listen to our sponsored message, and I'll catch you on the other side. Are you ready to take control of your finances and build a brighter future? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired, feeling broke all the time? My name is Michael Present, a certified master coach, and I created Second Round Financial to provide personalized financial coaching based on the proven principles of Dave Ramsey's 7 Baby Steps. Our services include, but are not limited to, one-on-one financial coaching through Zoom conference or face-to-face, budgeting strategies, debt reduction plans, emergency fund creation, retirement planning, and investment guidance. Well, why choose us? Because we believe in empowering our clients with the knowledge and tools they need to achieve financial peace. With our guidance, you'll gain clarity over your financial situation, develop a realistic and achievable plan, and experience hope and confidence in your financial future. I have over 15 years experience teaching and guiding families in the Ramsey principles, along with a degree in finance and work experience in the banking and insurance industries. So let's get started today. Go to secondroundfinancial.com and click Book Now to schedule your free consultation today. So Vern Gosdin was born August 5th in 1934 in Woodland, Alabama. Now that's a town that's nestled in the hills of Randolph County, where the air is thick with the smell of pine trees and the front porches echo with hymnals. Now he was the 6th of 9 children in a devout Baptist family, and from the time that he could speak, he could sing. Music was woven into the fabric of his childhood. His mother played the piano at their church, and the family would often get together and sing at night, usually breaking into some 4-part harmony. Now that gospel influence and tight harmonies, heartfelt delivery, and spiritual resonance, it never left Vern. It shaped his understanding of music as something deeply personal and sacred. As a teen, Vern became enamored with the hard-edged honky-tonk of Lefty Frizzell and Hank Williams. These weren't just singers, they were storytellers, and Vern wanted in. He began performing in gospel quartets and local radio shows before making the fateful move westward to California in the early 1960s. Now, California was the home of a newly created Bakersfield sound, a gritty, twangy, electrified alternative to Nashville's polished production. And we'll talk about that sound in an episode real soon. Now, Vern teamed up with his brother Rex to form the Gosdin Brothers, and they became a fixture in California, especially in the country rock scene. They opened for the Byrds, and they would often provide harmonies on Gene Clark's early solo albums. Now, it was a strange blend: Southern gospel roots, folk rock leanings, and the Bakersfield steel guitar. But it worked. Despite critical acclaim, the Gosdin brothers struggled to find mainstream success. And by the early 70s, Vern's marriage was falling apart, and he walked away from music entirely. So he decided to move back east, and he opened up a glass company in Cartersville, Georgia. And he lived a quiet life for several years. But the call of country music, well, that never left him. And in the mid-1970s, with his personal life in shambles and his heart still full of music, Vern made a bold move, and he returned to Nashville with a batch of songs and a voice that had been seasoned by heartache, maturity, and time. Now, guys, I can't say that I've heard every song in Vern Gosdin's catalog, but I've heard a lot of them. And I found that just about every song is about being emotionally torn apart. Vern is the white man's version of a true blues singer, and he did it very well. So he signed with Elektra Records, and in 1976 he released his first solo single, which set him on the road to being known as one of country music's finest vocal interpreters. Now, his early solo recordings were soaked in sorrow and honesty. Gosdin didn't just sing about pain, he channeled it. Now, Vern never had the commercial success of Merle Haggard or George Jones, although he did have 17 top 10 hits in a 23-year career from 1977 to 1990, but he's been compared to both of them many times. And sometimes I think he gets overlooked as one of the legends of the rebirth of traditional country music that started back in the mid-'80s.
If I never see your loving face again, I'll go on loving you till the end. And if my broken heart...
Now, Till the End was Vern Gosdin's breakthrough moment as a solo artist. The song was released in 1977, and it climbed to number 7 on the Billboard country charts and introduced the world to a vocalist that could make devotion sound as powerful as heartbreak. But this wasn't the first time that Vern recorded this song. He and his brother Rex, you remember from the first segment that we just talked about, they recorded it, and also another song called Hanging On back in the 60s. And both got very modest at best chart success. Now, Vern would re-release Hanging On as his first single as a solo artist, and it made it up the charts to number 16. Now, Till the End was written by Curtis Wayne and Billy Hill, but Vern made that song his own with a reading so sincere you couldn't help but believe every word. The theme was simple, unconditional love. But in Gosdin's hands, that simplicity became profound. Now, what elevated this song further was the harmony vocals of Janie Fricke. Now, early in Janie's career, she was known for her backing vocals, and she's appeared on numerous country hits. Her voice floats above Vern's like a ghostly promise, giving the song a timeless quality. Now, behind the console was producer Gary S. Paxton. Now, he was a quirky musical chameleon known for everything from gospel to psychedelic rock. Now, Paxton understood that Gosdin didn't need elaborate arrangements or a studio trick. The production's sparse and warm, and it allows Vern's vocals to sit up front and be right there in the center. The track was recorded live to tape at the Columbia Studio B in Nashville. Like I say, there's no click tracks, no digital editing, no studio tricks. That analog approach gives Till the End an organic pulse, and you can hear the room breathe. You can feel the musicians reacting to Vern's phrasing in real time. Now, it was the kind of performance that made people lean in. Country radio took notice, and for the first time, so did Nashville.
They got a vintage Victrola 1951, full of my favorite records that I grew up on. They got old Hank and Lefty and there's B-24. Set 'em up, Joe, and play Walk in the Floor. Set 'em up, Joe, and play Walk in the Floor.
Now let's fast forward a bit, and by 1988, Vern Gosdin was on fire. His album Chiseled in Stone had become a critical and commercial triumph, and his voice was sharper, wiser, and more resilient than ever. Then came Set 'em Up Joe, a jukebox anthem with a heartbreak in its bones. The song was co-written by a powerhouse team, Vern himself, Dean Dillon, Buddy Cannon, and Hank Cochran. Now that's a murderer's row of country music songwriting talent. The song's a tribute to Ernest Tubb, the honky-tonk pioneer who helped define the sound of early country music. You remember we talked about him in a previous episode. Now, in fact, this song name checks one of Tubbs' earliest hits, Walking the Floor Over You. But this isn't just nostalgia. It's about how music, specifically country music, becomes a lifeline during tough times. And in the song, the narrator is sitting alone at a bar, numbing his pain with whiskey and this worn-out classic. The jukebox becomes his therapist, the bartender his priest, and the past is only comfort. It's a beautiful tension in performance, upbeat rhythm, but a melancholy content. It was recorded at the legendary Sound Emporium Studios and produced by Bob Montgomery. And he struck the perfect balance between honky-tonk groove and emotional gravitas. Now, according to those that were present, Vern nailed his lead vocal in one take. And that take's the one you hear on the record. It's raw, it's unscripted, and it's electric. It's what made Vern Gosdin so special. He didn't perform songs, he relived them. Now, Set 'em Up Joe hit number one and became his signature song, or I would say one of his signature songs. But more importantly, it cemented Vern as the bridge between old school legends like Tubbs and the neo-traditionalists of the late 80s.
Do you believe me now? I've told you time and time again, my heart and soul is in your hands. Do you believe me now? Do you believe me now?
Now let's take a look at probably my favorite Vern Gosdin song, Do You Believe Me Now? This is one of Vern's most haunting and emotionally charged performances, this time with deeper accuracy and a fresh insight. So this song was released November 7th, 1987, and it was the first single off of the Chiseled and Stone album. The song was co-written by Vern and Max D. Barnes. Now, Max was a powerhouse songwriter, and he's gone on and has won many CMA Song of the Year awards. He was also inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. And he also co-wrote one of Vern's, what many called his signature hit, Chiseled in Stone. Now, we'll talk about that in the next segment. So this collaboration came with some serious emotional weight. Now, the single peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles chart, and it stayed there on that chart deep until the next year. Now, unlike upbeat honky-tonk tracks, this song is built on restraint and space. Also produced by Bob Montgomery, it captures emotion in subtle detail. Acoustic rhythm guitar, soft piano chords, a weeping steel guitar, and an occasional fiddle. It layers sparingly to punctuate emotional moments. There's no sense of urgency, just a simmering tension, and it's underscored by Vern's controlled vocal delivery. Now, some descriptions have imagined stark minimalism. The track actually integrates instruments tastefully. The piano provides subtle harmonic support and occasional melody echoes. The steel guitar and the fiddle intertwine to build emotional texture, but only when it's needed. And the rhythm guitar and the bass, well, they anchor a slow beat that supports Vern's pacing and giving room for his voice. Now, when I hear this song, I can feel the emotion that Vern's delivering. I mean, I can picture a conversation happening. You got this guy living in a seedy part of town because his woman's left him. You know, it's probably a rundown apartment. And the next thing you know, his ex shows up. And this is, and I can actually see him saying, "Don't you think you should have called?" Which is the way the song obviously opens. This is just one of those songs that I can see the story unfolding and building. And when you add Vern's delivery and that steel guitar, well, if you don't feel those emotions, you might better check your pulse. There's no huge crescendos. There's no vocal gymnastics. Instead, every note feels respectful to the lyric, of the space in between the lines and the unsaid weight. Today, fans still remember this song as a close runner-up to Chiseled in Stone when they get asked about Vern's finest performances. Hey guys, thank you for listening today, and I hope you're enjoying this podcast. If you are, please subscribe or follow the podcast, click the like button, share it with other music lovers, and please consider giving it a 5-star rating so we can reach a bigger audience. Now back to the show. Now before we close, we can't ignore the song that actually defined Vern Gosdin's legacy, Chiseled in Stone. Again, this was co-written, Max Barnes and Vern. And the song won the CMA Song of the Year, and it remains one of the most emotionally devastating tracks in country history. Now, He Stopped Loving Her Today by George Jones is probably and arguably one of the saddest country songs ever recorded. But this song is emotionally charged and sad, but at least it has a better ending. Now, as the lyrics read, obviously you've got a husband and wife that get in a heated argument. She goes to the bedroom to cry. He goes running to the bar. You get an older gentleman, sits down, probably strikes up a conversation. Our guy tells him about all of his troubles, to which this old man, as the song says in the story, tells him, "Hey, buddy, I know exactly how you feel, but you haven't experienced loneliness yet." And as the title is the gut punch, you don't know about lonely till it's chiseled in stone. Now, Vern was reluctant to sing this song at first. He said it was too personal and too painful, but that's exactly why it worked. It wasn't a performance. The song was a confession. Now, as Vern's career started to slow down as we reached the new millennium, he suffered his first stroke in 1998, but it didn't keep him from writing and singing, and he did so up until he passed away on April 28, 2009, in a hospital in Nashville, where he had suffered his second stroke. Now, Vern was only 74 years old, but his voice lives on in every heartbreak ballad sung by those who still believe country music is about the truth. Artists like Jeremy Johnson, Chris Stapleton, and Alan Jackson all cite Vern as a huge influence in their musical careers. And for good reason. Vern never faked it. He didn't chase trends. He just told the truth in a voice that sounded like it had already lived the stories it told. He was a honky-tonk poet. He was a gospel-rooted balladeer and a master craftsman of sorrow. So the next time you find yourself alone with a memory and a song, cue up some Vern Gosdin and let the voice remind you that pain can be beautiful and the healing can come from a jukebox. So thanks for joining me for this week's episode of the 2 for Tuesday podcast, brought to you by Second Round Music, with your host Michael Present. And if Vern Gosdin moved you today, do me a favor, share this episode with somebody who loves real country music. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and tune in next week for another journey through the songs that have shaped our lives. Until then, keep your jukebox full, your heart open, and your bar stool warm. Remember, we love you and we need you. God bless you.